Have you ever noticed how everything today is built around keeping you needing attention? Like, it's pretty wild how apps, content, and even how people talk, all of it is designed to keep you chasing that next like, or that message, that call, that little ping that says someone sees you. But the truth is, we're being trained to crave validation like it's oxygen, and most of us don't even realize it. It's subtle but dangerous because when you're always waiting to feel chosen, you'll settle for anything that makes you feel seen, even if it's fake, temporary, or unhealthy. And it makes you wonder, why is this kind of attention so addictive? Why is the world constantly handing us hit after hit of validation through comments and DMs, stories, likes, while avoiding giving us any real sense of worth? It's because the moment you feel enough on your own, their control over you weakens. But when you're emotionally dependent and when your worth is tied to it, whether someone texts you or back or compliments you, they've got exactly where they want you. They don't want you to heal. They want you distracted, always checking, always waiting, and always needing. And what's crazy is it works. This emotional hunger and this need to be noticed and to be wanted, it ends up controlling your entire mood. Like you can't sleep at night, so you reach for your phone. You scroll through old messages and check who viewed your story. Maybe post something just to see who reacts. It becomes a cycle, like clockwork. And no, you might not see some creepy figure feeding off your soul in that moment, but something is feeding off you. Your energy, your focus, your self respect, it's draining you, and you don't even realize it. And here's the deeper issue: this constant need to feel wanted is messing with your wiring. It's not just about dopamine hits or bad habits. This stuff is shaping your beliefs about yourself. You start thinking your value depends on how others treat you. If someone ignores you, you spiral. If someone shows interest, suddenly your whole day lights up. You don't even realize how much of your peace, your stability, your self worth is in someone else's hands. That's not love, that's slavery. And it's strategic. There are whole industries built on keeping you insecure. They know that if you truly felt whole, you wouldn't need their filters, their products, their attention traps. So they sell you this illusion that you're not enough, unless someone says you are. And every time you believe it, you lose a little more of your power. A woman who knows her worth is dangerous. That's why they work so hard to keep you dependent. So, what ends up happening? You go through life, especially in your teenage years or early 20s, never really know what it feels like to be you. Not the version that's performing for a reaction, but the version that's still insecure without one. That quiet confidence and that inner glow, you never taste it because every uncomfortable moment, every silence, every ache gets numbed out by checking your phone and waiting on someone's approval or obsessing over if you're enough. Let's say you're building a business, maybe starting something creative or just trying to glow. You hit a rough patch, nothing major, just a small failure, but instead of sitting with that feeling, instead of using it to grow, you go post a cute selfie or text someone you shouldn't or scroll until someone gives you that hit of attention. You're rewarding yourself for the pain by escaping it. And every time you do that, you rob yourself of your breakthrough. You see, real growth, real winners, they don't run from that feeling. When things get tough, they go deeper. They push themselves harder and they center themselves in prayer and they show up. But emotional dependency, it teaches you the exact opposite. It tells you distract yourself and feel pretty again. Find someone to remind you that you matter. And in doing that, you never really build you. That's the saddest part. You lose your connection with Allah because you're too busy chasing people who barely see you. You wake up feeling empty, and instead of turning to your creator, you turn to someone's DM or a text you hope will come. And then you live your day from that place of guilt, of need, of craving. Nothing you do feels blessed, nothing sticks because you're operating from a void. And what happens when you keep doing it over and over again? The guilt fades, but not because it's gone. You just learn to suppress it. You numb yourself to your own emptiness and you become a master at ignoring your soul's cry for real love, the kind only Allah can give. And over time, you'll forget what that even feels like. And if you're wondering why nothing in your life is working right now, Why your friendships feel shallow, your goals feel heavy, and your heart feels off, it's this. There's basically so much suppressed pain and insecurity inside you, and instead of facing it, you've been covering it with likes and filters and situationships. But none of that heals you. It just hides the wound while it gets deeper. And the worst part is that there are actually people behind screens who know how this works. They study the algorithm of your soul. They coach influencers on how to sit, smile, speak, and all to keep your attention locked. They don't care about your healing, they just want you to click, your view, and your time. You think you're watching people live their lives, but behind the screen, someone's smirking saying, "We got her." That should make you angry and that should make you wake up. Because the more you feed that addiction to attention, the more you lose your own life. You start celebrating other people's fake wins while you sit there doing nothing, watching other people be loved and chosen and praised while your heart is still starving. That's not inspiration, that's slow self destruction. And this obsession with being seen, it rewires your brain to the point where you don't even know what you want anymore. You only know how to mirror what gets approved. And every time you do that, you're moving farther and farther away from your own soul, from what Allah made you to be. That's why it's so dangerous. And maybe no one told you this, but every time you feel bored, sad, rejected, or like something's missing, and you immediately reach for attention instead of Allah, you're skipping the breakthrough. That uncomfortable feeling, that ache, it was meant to be your signal to go inward. But instead, we scroll, we post, we text, we escape. And so we never really experience what's on the other side of that discomfort. We never sit long enough to hear what our soul is actually asking for. We just drown it with more noise and more filters, more fake love, and every time we do that, we miss out on the gold that was waiting after the pain, the wisdom, the clarity, the growth, all of it. We skip it. So, next time you feel empty, or a comment makes you spiral, or you're just not feeling seen, don't reach for your phone. Reach for the silence and reach for the moment because Allah is right there testing you, asking, will she turn to me or chase someone else again? That's the test, every single time. Are you going to remember who sees you, even when no one else does? Are you going to try and fill your soul with what keeps leaking out? If you go through the test, if you sit with it instead of escaping, it will change everything. That's when the real healing begins. And I get it, it's hard. The world makes it so easy to run. There are entire businesses built on your brokenness. Courses, content, coaches teaching women how to look more desirable just to get more attention so they can keep on needing it. But healing, that's not what they sell. They sell the addiction over and over. So, if you're not addicted to this cycle, be grateful because most people are. They can't stop needing to be chosen. They've built their whole identity around it, and you can see it in people, their vibe, and their energy. When someone is desperate for love or approval, it shows. It's quiet, but it's very loud. And it repels real connection. The more dependent you are, the more you lose that natural confidence, that feminine softness grounded in strength. People feel that lack, and they back away. So now you're not just drained, you're also lonely. And deep down, you know it's not just about them, it's about you not seeing your own worth first. And it repels real connection. The more dependent you are, the more you lose that natural confidence, that feminine softness, grounded in strength. People feel the lag and they back away. So now you're not just drained, you're also lonely. And deep down, you know it's not about them. It's about you not seeing your own worth first. Back in the day, attention had to be earned. You had to actually build something, character, skill, presence, and now it's cheap. You can post one photo and get hundreds of eyes on you and feel like you've achieved something, but you didn't. Your soul knows the difference and it starts to decay from the inside out. When you stop chasing attention, you start discovering purpose. When you stop posting to feel seen, you start showing up where it matters. That hunger for approval, you can train it. You can redirect it towards your creator, towards your goals, and towards things that actually feed you. And trust me, your energy will return. Because every time you chase false love, you're telling your soul, this is all I'm worth. But when you chase real growth, you're telling it, you matter. And that shift, and that's where things begin to change. Your energy rises, your ambition returns, you stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. Don't let anyone trick you into thinking that seeking attention is empowerment. It's not. Real power is knowing that you don't need to beg for love, That love finds you when you're whole. So take that energy, yeah, the emotional energy and that longing, and do something with it. Use it to create a life that reflects your worth. You know what's crazy? That same emotional energy you feel, the longing, the restlessness, that's not weakness, that's power. It's the same energy that builds relationships, communities, legacies. But when you waste it chasing people who don't even value you, the energy turns toxic. So don't pour your power into proving your worth to people. Pour it into building a life where your worth is never up for debate. Emotional energy was never meant to be thrown away on late night text, breadcrumbing, or chasing closure. It was meant to create life, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. The same way physical energy can build or destroy, emotional energy can do the same. It's either going to birth something meaningful or it's going to rot from being misused. You choose which way it flows. And now you're like, okay, but what's the solution? Because I get it. Telling you don't chase validation isn't enough. So here it is. You cut it from the root. That means stop feeding the need. Stop checking who viewed your story. Stop stalking people you claim to be over. Stop listening to music that wires you for emotional fantasy instead of emotional clarity. Pay attention to the habits that keep you needy. Watch what triggers you craving for attention. Maybe it's what you wear, maybe it's who you follow, maybe it's what you eat, what you watch, what you daydream about. Start removing those triggers one by one because they're not small and they're not harmless. They're the rope that keeps putting you back into needing. And be real with yourself. You know the difference between feeding your soul and feeding your ego. Most of the things that make you feel pretty for 5 minutes leave you feeling empty the next hour. But prayer, clean food, sleep, deep conversations, Quran, they're not loud, but they're healing. And they remind you that you were never meant to beg to be seen. You don't need to analyze every trigger. You don't need to go to war with your feelings. You just need to stop feeding the cycle. Attention is not love, and validation is not healing. And you know what's draining you? Now cut it. Like a weed choking your growth. And let's not forget, your environment matters. You can't heal in a space that's constantly keeping you small. If your friends are always seeking attention, complaining, gossiping, or obsessed with being liked, distance yourself. That energy rubs off, and you don't need more people who feed your insecurities. You need people who feed your faith. And if you don't have people like that right now, that's okay. Start with one, which is you. Be the kind of friend to yourself that doesn't need to be picked to feel worthy. That prays when it's hard, and that fasts when it's lonely, that reads when it's boring, that chooses growth over comfort. That's how you rebuild your heart. And yes, fasting helps, and not just from food, fasting from needing to be noticed, fasting from showing up online just to feel alive. When you remove the fake highs, your real strength returns. You start seeing that Allah already chose you. You just need to start living like it. Replace your emotional addictions with real discipline. Learn a skill, read, create, build. Pour into something that makes you stronger. Don't just break the habit, transform it. Your craving for attention, flip it into a craving for progress. Let your healing make you dangerous in the best way. And yes, it'll feel boring sometimes. Growth often does. But boredom is better than betrayal. Silence is better than manipulation. And being unseen for a while is better than being seen for the wrong reasons. So just keep going even when no one's clapping. Read something every day, learn something new, reflect on how your heart actually feels, not how it looks online. Journal, write, build, not for approval, but for alignment. Because when you live from that place of quiet strength, no one can use your emptiness against you anymore. Now ask yourself, who am I when no one's watching? Who am I when no one replies, when no one compliments, when no one validates? That version of you, that's the one worth building. Because that's the version Allah sees always, and that's the version the world desperately needs.